We are talking about Alaska stories, real Alaska stories.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of reality TV shows out there, and we wanted to talk to you guys about being a former Alaskan. And we encourage comments in the comment area. So today we're going to talk about Kodiak Island, and my mom is here. I'm Peggy Symingson.
And I'm Carol Medeiros.
And Kodiak is a unique place. You can really only fly in and out. So tell us about Kodiak. When were we there? What were we doing there? That kind of thing.
Okay. Well, you and Amy were 2.5 when we went there. And there was a job offered to Mike Symingson, the Coast Guard base. So we flew Wing Air Alaska, an 18-seater airplane to Kodiak in early October from Anchorage. 250 miles off the coast of Anchorage is Kodiak.
That's far.
Yeah, it is. And I remember that it's the most beautiful day you've ever seen. It was a stunning sight to me to suddenly see the island appear in the dark blue ocean with light blue skies and perfect weather. And they came and told me that one of the twins had to sit on somebody else's lap during the landing. And I didn't want to do that, but they said, you have to do it. And there was one other woman on the airplane. So she came up to me, an Eskimo woman, and she took one of y'all and held you on her lap. And the aisles I remember the aisles of the little airplane were just full of milk and all kind of food and stuff. It was just fully loaded. But the airplane played a very significant role in Kodiak. Every day when I first got there, I noticed people would go out at 4:25 p.m. and they were looking up at the sky to the north, and they were watching for the Wing scheduled airline to come, and it didn't come in every day because sometimes the weather was bad. But I thought that was kind of strange, and then after a few days, I was out there looking at it sky at 4:23 and wanted to see it come in too.
Yeah, it's part of the routine.
Yes, it was part of the routine, and it was a connection, and you didn't feel so lonely when you went to look for the Wing.
Yeah. I just didn't realize how far off the main part of the state it was.
It is, yeah. I didn't either, Peggy, at first.
Well, tell us more about kind of the day-to-day lifestyle in Kodiak. And this was the mid-70s.
Mm-hmm. Well, the housing was a terrible mess. We had to live in the visiting officers' quarters on Coast Guard base for about 3 months while I ordered a trailer up from Kent, Washington, and it came up on a barge. And
single wide?
Yeah, it was a single wide, 14 by 70. Mm-hmm. And it came up on a barge, and you had to sign all these papers that if the barge sank in a storm, well, you'd keep paying.
Oh, no. Wow.
So I did that, and then they pulled it up a hill. When it came in on the barge, up the inside passage like the cruise ships go, we went down and watched them unload it. It was really complicated. And it was down by the fish hatcheries where people work, the canneries. And then they pulled it up a steep hill where we had a place to put it. And again, a lot of waivers to sign. If you drop it or slip, you still pay. So we did all that.
Glad it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out really great. And then we had a view of the runway and Kodiak Bay, which is a fishing village. Kodiak is a fishing village, basically, where we...
and then all the military.
The Coast Guard was just an anchor.
Yeah.
But it was a fishing village, much like if you saw the movie The Perfect Storm. It was very much like their culture there. And the atmosphere, the energy, the weather. It was very, felt remote. It had a strong feeling of being an island, but it's the most beautiful place I've ever seen. Even to this day, the most beautiful place I've ever seen. It was just blissful to see the beauty of that place, Peggy.
And I have no memories of it other than pictures.
Mm-hmm. Well, you were 2.5 to about 3.5. And we went walking every day, and you and Amy would scream with delight over the beauty and the vistas that we would see. And we never saw wildlife, but y'all enjoyed the walk. And then our neighbor, Evan, came over one day and he said, "Do you carry a rifle or a gun?" I said, "No." And he said, "Well, you better," because he said there's 2,500 people and 5,000 grizzly bears here, Kodiak bears.
Yeah, I think the human population has grown. So back then the ratio was more bears than people.
Yeah, so we quit all that. Wow. And drove places.
And, let's talk about bears for a minute. Since Kodiak is known for the brown bear, did you ever see any?
I never saw a bear. Huh. I did see a bear in North Pole and Fairbanks.
Yeah, where did you see your bears?
Near Elaine's and Hardy's house in North Pole.
Yeah, we all saw that bear.
We all saw that bear in a garden. Yeah. And then another time, not too long ago, I saw a bear up to his waist in water. Mm-hmm. He's standing up, and I said, "Look, Elaine, look at that bear."
Where was it?
It was on the way to church.
Oh, yeah. And people share bear sightings, of course.
Mm-hmm. So I told everybody in church where it was.
Yeah, you got to share that kind of information.
You do.
But so they roam around and forage. And right now, let's just share what bear tips do you know if you see a bear? What have you heard?
Well, I've heard that you're supposed to back away and don't. And other people say make a lot of noise.
Yeah. I've heard make a lot of noise in the front end so they'll not come near you in the first place.
Mm-hmm. That would be terrifying if one came near you.
Yeah, and then I've heard curl up in a ball and protect your neck and head, and head. Mm-hmm. And don't run. They can outrun you. And don't climb a tree because they can climb. They're expert tree climbers.
That's right.
If it's a moose, it's okay to climb a tree. In fact, you should because they'll charge you if they're threatened. Yeah. But bears are good tree climbers, as you know.
Yeah.
And excellent noses and poor sight.
Oh, yeah. Poor eyesight, I've heard.
So, curl up in a ball and hope for the best. But so back to Kodiak Island, what else is out there on the island?
Well, there was a mountain right behind where we lived in the trailer. A lot of woods and very few roads, but we drove all the roads on the island. And one day, I drove us over to the VFW. I heard it was really nice, and you could eat something really good. So we went over there, and it was closed, but the three of us spotted a bunker from World War II right on the coastline. So we went in the bunker and looked at it. It was kind of a cement structure, and it was very eerie to go in it and look through the slit where they were looking for invaders. And if you read the 1,000-Mile War, you can read about the bunkers in that book. But it was very exciting to see that. So we did that, and then we went on the base. We were lucky enough the base welcomed everybody since Mike worked on the base.
Yeah, oh, that's good. Was that FAA?
Yes, it was.
My dad worked for the FAA.
Yeah, the FAA.
For a long time. And it's very much a pilot culture in Alaska. Well, great. And I noticed you had Wien Airlines. Was that one of the main airlines there?
Wien was really the big airline back in those days. And another really respected airline was Revolution Airways. Reeve would bring in bigger planes for some reason. And they would come in all kind of weather. They were not conservative about coming in, so
Yeah.
everybody liked Wayne. I
Oh.
mean, everybody liked Revolution Airways.
Oh, so the flights weren't delayed. They would just brave pilots.
They would brave through the snow and blizzards.
Wow.
I was amazed
Yeah.
at them. But they were very much talked about as well as Wayne.
Huh.
And everybody loved the airlines, of course, because they
Yeah.
brought us our mail
Yeah.
and brought us our fresh food. Okay. Let's see. Oh, well, it was really a fishing village. We could see all the boats from where we lived up on the hill in the trailer, Peggy. And we listened to the weather a lot, and people gave you more king crab than you could eat or freeze.
Oh, who gave it to you?
The neighbors.
Oh,
the neighbors.
Did we eat it?
Some. Yeah, we did
okay.
a lot. A lot. Helped with the budget. And then, but in Kodiak, I came to appreciate life a lot more than I had before because, for example, there was one store in town called Kraft, like Kraft cheese, and I went down there to get a parka because it's getting colder, and everything was in a box there. It wasn't displayed and all that. And I went to a box, and there was a whole bunch of navy blue parkas, and I asked the lady, "Oh, do you have it in green?" And she sort of chewed me out and said, "Be thankful you've got it in any color. You've got your size."
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, well, okay. I'm sorry. I guess I'm a Chichaco, which is a newcomer."
Yeah, Chichacos.
And she said, "You are." And I was ashamed of myself. But I picked out a parka, a blue one, navy blue, and she came around and hugged me and said, "You'll learn."
So a Chichaco is someone who has not lived through a winter.
I think so. Now, of course, I had lived through many winters in the interior and in Anchorage, but she saw me as a Chichaco to Kodiak Island.
Yeah. Oh, I hadn't even thought about it. Yeah. So newcomers to Alaska are Chichacos. They don't have the survival skills down yet, don't know what to expect. But I hadn't thought of being a Chichaco even in another place within Alaska. So there's a macho kind of spirit.
Yep.
To use the word macho in a non-gendered sense, like people in Fairbanks think they're kind of more Alaskan than people in Anchorage.
I think they, and in a way they are because they deal with more.
Yeah.
But that's so true, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
so there's
the
this weird, survival machismo, if you will. And then what else? Anything else? And then how long did we live there, and what else did we do?
From about 2.5 to, you were aged 2, and you and Amy, 2.5 to 3.5. We spent a lot of time reading, and we went to the library on the base, and people were friendly. They invited you over all the time. Never saw such a friendly place. People were lonely and outgoing, though, to meet you and talk with you. Many people paid $45 once a month or so and got off the island to go to Anchorage, and they'd come back with stories about Nordstrom and Kenny's and the Captain Cook Hotel.
Captain Cook,
But we didn't have the $45. But it was okay. It was fine. You learn survival skills of being internally strong.
Yeah, and what about the weather?
The weather, precipitation, either snow or rain or mist every day, every single day except in June and July. So you learn to take care of yourself with boots and water repellent parkas and raincoats and hats. You just learn fast.
What about mosquitoes?
Well, they were there. Not as bad as the interior, but the wind blew a lot in Kodiak Island.
Yeah.
The wind blew quite a bit, so it seemed to blow them away or something. They didn't bother you, but they were there. But and then the hunters talked about it when they would go in the woody area. Yeah,
that's great. And then where did we go from Kodiak?
From there, after about a year, your dad had a really good offer to go back to Fairbanks.
Oh, yeah.
So I was all for that because I missed my mom and dad. And I wanted y'all to know them. and them to know you. So I was all for going back to Fairbanks. And that's when we lived in the old gray house.
Our first video.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then after
I remember that.
yeah. So that's, and then you were about 4 and 5. You and Amy went to preschool at the church in
yeah, I remember that.
North Pole
Baptist Church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was different. Yeah. So I really don't remember Kodiak. Did Hardy or anyone else come visit us at Kodiak?
Nobody came to visit. No, nobody.
Not easy to get to.
Nobody came to visit, but then I understood too. How
long did it take to get from Kodiak to like Anchorage, or is that where the nearest town?
Yeah, it was about 45 minutes.
Oh, that's a long time.
45-minute flight, and usually a smaller airplane where you're flying maybe a little bit lower. I'm not sure.
What was the airport like?
In Kodiak?
Yeah.
Oh, it was really small. It was about very small. I would say 1,200 square feet.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of people in the airport would be carrying big rifles, big guns. A lot of them were hunters. So when we got there that one day, it was all hunters and me and you and sister.
Wow, different, totally different.
It was really different, but if you go, you'll be glad you went to see it.
And then go in the summertime?
Mm-hmm. I'd say go in the summertime, June, July.
Yeah, there's probably lots of tours. Probably where you can see bears.
I bet.
Yeah, I bet. You see them on Discovery Channel and that kind of thing. So Animal Planet, I'm sure. Well, anything else?
No, that's about it. It was just, like I say, the most beautiful place I've ever seen, ever. And I would like to go back sometime and see it.
Yeah, that's great. We'll have to look it up on the internet in the meantime. Armchair traveling. Okay, thanks for watching our video.
Thank you.